as you get older,
Yep.
you have to look at things in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm keeping my fucking hands up.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro.
Step out. Can I move my phone? Step out.
Might unlock all kind of strip clubs in Omaha. We don't know. This is musty. This is disgusting at the highest level.
Another point. Floyd Mayweather, he don't carry no guns. Floyd don't carry.
2. Mayweather's remarks went beyond Crawford's performance in the ring. He also brought up Crawford's recent issues outside of boxing, referring to the incident with local police in Omaha. Floyd called the situation both unfortunate and embarrassing, adding that moments like this should be avoided by someone at Crawford's level. In his view, instead of making headlines for the wrong reasons, Crawford should be celebrating with his loved ones and appreciating the historic achievement of his victory.
I had a lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in the fight between Terence and Floyd. And I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
Yes,
fight.
sir. I love you, Terence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah,
He's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ and
But
that
the
shit
funny
is
thing about
crazy.
it-
The incident Floyd mentioned began unfolding early this morning in downtown Omaha. Just hours earlier, the city had held a massive parade celebrating Crawford's triumph over Canelo, with the champion as the star of the event. But what started as a night of glory quickly took a different turn. According to Omaha police, around 1:30 a.m., officers spotted a car driving erratically near North 12th Street and Capitol Avenue. They pulled the vehicle over on Cass Street. Inside were 4 people, including Crawford himself, and among them was his head of security, Qasim Shabazz.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro.
Step out. Can I move my phone?
Love Crawford being harassed by cops and pulled over by the cops right after the parade. This is diabolical.
Later that day, Omaha police released an official statement outlining their account of what happened. According to their report, during the traffic stop, one of the officers noticed a loaded firearm on the driver's side floorboard. For safety precautions, the officers instructed all 4 individuals in the vehicle to step out with their hands up. Once IDs were checked, it was confirmed that the driver was none other than Terence Crawford. He was given a citation for reckless driving. The statement also clarified the situation with the weapons found in the car. One of the passengers, identified as part of Crawford's security team, was in possession of a legally registered gun. Authorities noted that everyone in the vehicle was legally permitted to carry firearms.
Once they had stopped, Crawford was identified as the driver. According to police, officers observed a firearm on the floorboard on the driver's side. All 4 people, including members of Crawford's security team, were ordered out of the vehicle at gunpoint. I spoke with the head of Crawford's security this afternoon, who says he's still shaken up.
Mood in Omaha shifted dramatically. Just hours after fans were cheering Crawford at the parade, many found themselves witnessing a very different scene. Him being placed in handcuffs on Cass Street. For some locals, it felt like a moment of pride, for the city had been overshadowed. Frustration quickly spread online, with a number of fans blaming Crawford for making poor choices and driving recklessly. According to a report from local station KV, an officer on the scene explained that the firearm became visible when Crawford leaned down to retrieve his license and registration during the stop.
I got a crazy clip to show you guys right now, but isn't that a policeman holding a gun to the 3-time undisputed world champ Terence Bud Crawford's head? What did he do that was so bad that you had to pull him over?
The officer later clarified that the decision to escalate the stop came when a firearm became visible near Crawford's feet as he leaned forward. That sighting prompted officers to order everyone out of the car at gunpoint for safety reasons. According to the report, all 4 individuals were temporarily handcuffed while the situation was brought under control. During the encounter, Crawford was heard clearly stating that he wasn't reaching for the weapon. He raised his hands and emphasized that he was cooperating with the officers.
That was a nightmare. You know, future husband, just had a brand new child and, you know, children and stuff like that. And to know that I almost lost my life last night because we had a police officer that don't know how to articulate a traffic stop.
Crawford's head of security, Qasim Shabazz, later shared his own account of the incident, which directly challenged the police version. Shabazz stated that Crawford never reached for any documents because he didn't have them on him in the first place. According to him, Crawford had already informed the officers that his license and registration were left at home, so there was no reason for him to lean forward. He also explained that both he and Crawford followed Nebraska law by immediately disclosing that they were carrying firearms. Despite their transparency, Shabazz said the situation escalated rapidly. He recalled Crawford calmly telling the officer, "I have a firearm too," but claimed the officer reacted with sudden aggression, shouting commands and ordering everyone out of the car. Shabazz emphasized that no one had physically reached for any weapon, yet the tension spiked. "Everyone in that car thought it could go bad fast," he said, describing the moment as terrifying.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro.
Step out. Can I move my?
You telling me the police at Omaha don't know who Terence Crawford is? Putting a gun in his face? Ridiculous.
Shabazz also pushed back against the claim that Crawford was driving recklessly. He said that during the stop, Crawford directly asked the officer whether radar had been used to determine his speed. According to Shabazz, the officer admitted that no radar device was involved. Crawford then reportedly challenged the basis of the stop, asking, "So how do you know I was speeding if you don't have radar?" Shabazz claimed to have recorded the entire conversation, including the moment the officer acknowledged on camera, "I cannot. I admit that I do not have radar."
In Omaha, after receiving the keys to the city, hey yo, that cop gotta be some hater, bro. Hey yo, that's like the NYPD holding Derek Jeter on gunpoint and arresting him after the Yankee championship parade in New York City, bro. It doesn't make sense. It wouldn't even happen, bro. It wouldn't even happen. So this cop gotta be some hate.
The conflicting narratives between the police report and Shabazz's account have only intensified the debate. Crawford's team has pointed to Shabazz's statements as proof that the situation was mishandled, while others argue that officers can still issue a reckless driving citation based on their observations, even without radar. Shabazz described the scene inside the vehicle as extremely tense. All 4 occupants were placed in handcuffs, and he felt the escalation was unnecessary, especially since they had already disclosed the presence of firearms and were cooperating. At Crawford's request, a police supervisor and a lieutenant eventually arrived at the scene to oversee the situation. Their involvement helped calm things down and ensure the rest of the stop proceeded in a controlled manner before the citation was officially issued.
I think we should just let the man enjoy his great moment. He's a great fighter. And I see a lot of immature stuff, and I don't like the way things is going with.
By the time officials responded, footage of the stop was already making the rounds online, sparking intense debate among fans and locals. Some argued that the police had overreacted, while others felt Crawford had put himself in a risky situation. For many, the incident cast an unfortunate shadow over what had been a celebratory day for Omaha. A number of voices also echoed Mayweather's earlier criticism, suggesting that a fighter of Crawford's status should avoid being involved in situations like this altogether. The Omaha Police Department acted quickly in response to the growing attention. Police Chief Todd Schmaderer ordered an internal affairs investigation to examine how the officers handled the stop. Mayor John Ewing confirmed that both he and the chief were aware of the viral video and supported a formal review. The investigation will specifically look into whether proper procedures were followed when the firearm was noticed, and during the decision to remove the passengers at gunpoint.
Come up with guns drawn.
Wow, he had his guns drawn. Here's what TMZ wrote. Terence Crawford ordered out of the car by a cop holding a gun on a video. It says Terence Crawford was forced out of a car at gunpoint by police officers with tense exchange caught on video, and it's leading to an internal investigation.
At this point, the only official charge Crawford faces is reckless driving. Authorities have repeatedly confirmed that all the firearms found in the vehicle were legally owned and that no further charges are being pursued. Still, the dramatic contrast between Omaha's daytime celebrations and the late-night traffic stop has become the weekend's biggest talking point. Earlier in the day, thousands had filled the streets to honor their hometown hero. By nightfall, headlines were focused on Crawford being ordered out of his car at gunpoint. Social media lit up with reactions. Some fans called it one of the most surreal 24-hour stretches they'd ever seen, while others accused law enforcement of unfairly targeting him. Meanwhile, critics argued that Crawford should have made better choices and avoided being on the road so late at night.
Investigation, but the damage is already done, my guy. The damage is already done. I'll be surprised if Terence Bud Crawford comes back to the city just disrespectful to the face of boxing. Not saying that the man's above the law, but Lord child, what was y'all doing? Gunpoint?
Mayweather has stirred even more debate by using the incident to draw a sharp line between his career and Crawford's. He argued that a fighter's legacy isn't just defined by victories in the ring, but also by the decisions made when the world is watching. In Floyd's view, Crawford undermined his own moment of glory by ending up in handcuffs on the very night the city was celebrating him.
Mayweather, I thought, took on some pretty tough 154-pounders and it was in a young Canelo and a very tough Cotto who was punching very hard from 40 to 54. You know, remember Cotto had knocked out Delvin Rodriguez at 54. He'd still done some damage at 54, and I thought
won a title at 60.
Yeah, and I thought he knocked out Martinez at 60, and I thought he gave Mayweather a pretty good fight at 54.
Crawford's camp has maintained a low profile since the incident, offering no detailed response. Aside from a brief statement from his spokeswoman on Sunday evening confirming that he had no comment, neither Crawford nor his team has addressed the citation, the police reports, or Shabazz's version of events. Meanwhile, the internal affairs investigation remains ongoing, and the reckless driving citation is still in place. Despite Crawford's silence, the situation has sparked a wave of reactions across the boxing world. With names as prominent as Mayweather and Crawford involved, it's no surprise that legends, analysts, and promoters are all weighing in, each offering their own perspective on the incident and what it means for Crawford's legacy.
You know, I don't go off of that. You know, Floyd is the best fighter, you know, in his era, and I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
Oscar De La Hoya, never one to stay quiet when Floyd Mayweather's name comes up, didn't hold back on this debate. He openly scoffed at any talk of Crawford's win over Canelo putting him on Mayweather's level. To Oscar, the comparison simply doesn't add up. He reminded fans that Floyd faced Canelo when the Mexican star was younger, sharper, and considered a real threat, and yet Mayweather completely dismantled him. By contrast, De La Hoya pointed out, Crawford had to grind through 12 hard rounds to secure his victory. That, in his eyes, shows the gap between their careers is still significant. As Oscar put it, Mayweather had already cemented his status as boxing royalty long before Canelo ever shared a ring with him.
I knew that. I said it. But all of them kept saying, both of them, keep boxing, keep boxing.
Does anybody know where Bo
is? Max Kellerman approached the discussion from a more analytical angle, as he often does. Rather than letting the debate boil down to a single matchup, he reminded everyone that greatness isn't defined by just one opponent. Kellerman emphasized that Mayweather's legacy was built on his unmatched defensive genius, the kind that mentally disarms opponents before the opening bell even rings.
That's using what he got to shield him. He got a lot of security guards around him, and he's in the limelight and stuff like that, but in certain situations, he wouldn't be acting like that.
Do you like him as a fighter, though?
Yeah, he's a damn good fighter.
Yeah.
But like his core personality and his ways.
Kellerman highlighted that Crawford's skill set shines in a different way. His greatness lies in his ability to switch styles on the fly, adapt to any situation, and systematically dismantle opponents in ways rarely seen in modern boxing. Kellerman framed it not as a contest of who is better, but as a recognition of two distinct kinds of excellence, two separate peaks in boxing history that happen to follow one another.
Floyd Money Mayweather. Why is that the option? Well, for a few reasons. One, because Floyd doesn't like anybody being called the best while he's still living. So that's number one. Number two, they have been compared to each other since the fight. Because Canelo Alvarez says, well, I think he's better than Floyd. So now they're starting to get...
Bernard Hopkins didn't hold back in his assessment. He praised Crawford for being exceptionally sharp and at the top of his game, but he also highlighted a challenge Crawford hasn't yet faced: Floyd Mayweather's mental dominance. Hopkins explained that going up against Floyd wasn't just about landing punches, it was about confronting an opponent who could make you question every move round after round. He suggested that part of Crawford's excitement may come from the fact that he hasn't experienced someone who can completely neutralize his skills. For Hopkins, that mental edge is what separates the good from the great and the great from the legendary.
Pass the torch to the right guy. You know what I mean? He lost it to Terence fair and square, and he passed the torch. So, if you're going to have another fight, cool, but you don't need to. You have nothing. He has nothing to prove. You know, he fought Terence and nobody else would.
Analysts also point to the difference in marketability, Floyd's charisma ability to play both hero and villain, and his...
Mike Tyson offered a different perspective. Preparing for his own upcoming exhibition with Mayweather, Tyson said moments like these are exactly what boxing needs, the kind of drama that gets fans talking, sparks endless media speculation, and makes the sport feel larger than life. He even hinted at the unpredictable nature of Floyd's current activity, suggesting that if Mayweather is still training and stepping into the ring for exhibitions, it's not far-fetched to imagine a potential matchup with Crawford.
I could have, but, you know, why do something when something else is working?
Easy answer.
Jeff Mayweather, on the other hand, defended Floyd by stressing the context often overlooked in these comparisons. By the time Floyd fought Canelo, he was already past his physical peak,
Eddie Hearn has taken a more cautious stance, pointing out that Crawford's record still doesn't match Mayweather's and urging fans not to jump to conclusions. Yet even as Hearn remains skeptical, there's a growing buzz in boxing circles. Crawford is now in a position to choose his opponents freely, unbound by promotional limitations. Meanwhile, Mayweather continues to operate on his own terms, doing whatever fits his plans. That combination creates the kind of scenario where seemingly wild matchups start to feel plausible, even a potential showdown between Floyd and Crawford.
I don't go off of that. You know, Floyd is the best fighter, you know, in his era, and I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
One thing that I thought was really interesting about the fight, I always love watching you switch stances as effortlessly as you do. You didn't do that a lot in this fight. You didn't have to. Were you expecting not to have to?
No, I felt like I could have, but...
The situation could get even more intriguing. Mike Tyson's upcoming exhibition with Mayweather has already drawn massive attention, but reports about Tyson's health keep emerging. If anything were to delay or derail that event, the rumor mill is already buzzing with a possible alternative. Why not bring Crawford in as a replacement opponent? The idea alone is enough to keep fans and media speculating.